Early in the morning, the first wild boar control operation of the year officially began. Working closely with local authorities, the professional hunting team moved straight into areas that had suffered long-term damage. Fields had been torn apart, fences lay broken, and livestock enclosures showed clear signs of disruption, revealing how serious the situation had become. Fresh tracks covered the damp soil, proving the boars had been active night after night. Without hesitation, the team split into smaller units and moved toward higher ground, securing clear vantage points to prepare for whatever might unfold. From carefully selected positions, each member quietly adjusted their scopes and scanned the surrounding terrain. Within minutes, a large group of wild boars emerged along the forest edge, moving quickly and changing direction without warning. Once the signal was given, the first shots shattered the silence. The herd scattered in confusion, racing in multiple directions. At such distance, every movement had to be precise and controlled. Several targets were contained, while others disappeared into thick undergrowth, using the terrain to escape. Keeping the momentum, the team shifted positions without delay. On another hillside, more boars were spotted hiding deep inside dense brush. As everyone focused on tracking their movement, a massive boar suddenly broke away from the group, changed course, and charged straight toward the team. The moment unfolded in seconds, leaving no room for hesitation. A rapid response followed, stopping the charge just before the distance became dangerously close and preventing a situation from spiraling out of control. After the intense encounter, the operation pushed farther into the area. Inside a denser section of forest, the team waited in near total stillness, conserving energy and listening for movement. When the boars finally began moving out of the thick cover and down the slope, the moment arrived. Coordinated action followed, and the sound echoed across the hillside. The herd panicked and fled, leaving behind a chaotic scene of disturbed earth, broken branches, and swirling dust. Deeper in the hills, wild boar numbers appeared even heavier. From above, another large group came into view, moving swiftly through the valley below. It quickly became clear that direct pursuit would not work. The team divided into smaller units, setting up ambush points from multiple directions. This strategy allowed them to control escape routes, reduce the herd's ability to scatter, and slowly force the animals into more predictable paths. By afternoon, operations shifted down toward the open lowlands at the base of the hills. The open terrain made movement easier, but it also allowed the boars to spread out rapidly. To keep pace, the team relied on vehicles to close the distance. Whenever a group entered a clear line of sight, action was taken immediately. After hours of pressure, the boars grew increasingly alert, making each approach more difficult and demanding careful timing. As fresh signs continued to appear, the team deployed tracking dogs alongside aerial equipment to widen their field of view. From above, the escape route of a lone boar became clear as it tried to break away from the area. The pursuit intensified, crossing varied terrain and testing coordination at every step. Eventually, the chase led into an open stretch, where the animal was cut off near a dense thicket, bringing a long and exhausting pursuit to an end. As sunset approached, the day's operation gradually came to a close. Silence settled over ground that had been filled with movement just hours earlier, leaving only the marks of a demanding day behind. Fatigue showed on every face, mixed with a sense of reflection. The scale and speed at which wild boars were spreading made one thing clear: this was not a problem that could be solved quickly or easily. Do you think this approach to wild boar control is truly necessary and effective under current conditions? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you found this story engaging, remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the intense operations coming next. Looking at the scene behind me, it really resembles a battlefield rather than a cornfield. Each fallen corn stalk symbolizes the sweat and tears of the farmers who have tirelessly tended this land. We cannot let their efforts be destroyed, especially when it all happened in just one night, turning everything into ruins. That is why today we decided to take action. Theo cover as much ground as possible, we split into two teams. Thomas and I will occupy the higher ground on the hill. Meanwhile, Ethan and Jacob will move deeper into the dense forest beside us. The rules are simple. The team that fires fewer shots will have to handle all the spoils and prepare dinner for everyone. The Land Rover Defender is warmed up. It's time to go. Currently, we are standing at a high position on the hill. Early morning is the golden hour for hunters, as it's when wild boars leave their hideouts to forage for the last time. Suddenly, my iPhone 17 receives an alert. Some targets are moving towards us, about 200 meters away. I immediately get into position, ready as their dark shapes begin to appear in the distance. I am determined not to lose sight of the target. Just as I prepare to pull the trigger again, I see it fall, motionless. It seems that luck has smiled upon us right from the start. We continue driving the Land Rover Defender up a steeper hill to find new targets. From above, I spot a wild boar moving slowly through the dense underbrush below the hill. In situations like this, the most important lesson is patience. I have to wait until it completely emerges from the brush. With my experience and quick reflexes, I fire. The feeling of a successful plan is truly exhilarating. The sun is now higher in the sky, and from my experience, the wild boars will start returning to the thick brush for shelter. Therefore, Thomas and I decide to change tactics and set up an ambush just behind the bushes on the hill. We've carefully studied their movements and know their habits well. Everything is unfolding exactly as we planned. And just a note, all our hunting activities are in strict compliance with U.S. laws. Our victory doesn't last long, as the next challenge arrives quickly. From our position on the hill, we spot not just one wild boar, but an entire herd heading toward us. If this herd passes through, the crop damage will be severe. We must act immediately. The sound of gunfire echoes across the valley, successfully halting their progress and protecting the cultivated land behind us.
Hadi Sarı abi.
While my team is busy on the hill, Ethan and Jacob are facing a similarly tense situation. The dense trees severely limit their visibility. Jacob reports via radio that a wild boar suddenly appeared right in front of him. In an instant, Jacob reacts swiftly. It's truly a professional and decisive move. The barking of the hunting dogs leads Jacob deeper into the forest. Here, the dog successfully corners a massive wild boar, weighing hundreds of pounds. The fierce beast throws the dogs aside. The situation becomes extremely dangerous. Jacob knows he cannot hesitate, not only to protect the crops, but also to save his four-legged companions. Meanwhile, on the edge of the forest, Ethan has chosen an open spot to set up an ambush. The silence doesn't last long, as the barking from deep in the forest signals that the target is charging straight toward him. He cannot let it escape. The wild boar is subdued immediately. There's no better way to end today's mission of protecting the crops. That means we've safeguarded the land for the cornfield. However, the rules remain unchanged. When wild boars appear, the entire countryside must rise to defend itself. These creatures are not just ferocious animals hiding in the bushes, but the biggest threat to agriculture and the ecosystem of the southern United States. As they reproduce rapidly and invade residential areas, they trample on crops, destroy farmland, attack livestock, and even pose a danger to humans. And just a few nights of activity, an entire harvest can be wiped out. That's why regulated control and hunting are not just recreational solutions. They aim to protect the land, the community, and maintain natural balance. Today, we begin with a clear mission: to stop the invading boar herd before they cause further damage. If you want to see the real value behind each hunt, follow us now. Stepping out of the familiar Toyota, our group slowly makes its way deeper into the forest. Over the past 2 weeks, we've meticulously tracked every footprint, every overturned patch of soil. The orange of our hunting jackets stands out against the dense forest, a reminder of discipline, safety, and teamwork. Beneath the dry leaves, a new sign appears. No more words are needed. Every position is exactly where we practiced hundreds of times. Using long-range observation devices, we close the circle from multiple directions, leaving the wild boars no chance of escape. When the first shots ring out, the opening assault ends swiftly and effectively. This is not just a victory. It is the first glimmer of hope for farmers who are facing the risk of losing their entire crop. Without hesitation, we scan every gap with binoculars, sneaking through thick brush. Whenever a shadow flits past, the protection plan is set into motion. We're hunting, always strictly adhering to the wildlife management regulations of the U.S. Every time the trigger is pulled, it's a piece of the harvest saved. All this is aimed at one final goal: protecting the farm from the threat of wild boars. Effective wild boar hunting comes from hunters seizing opportunities and making the most of every chance to completely neutralize the threat. In just a second, the biggest danger to the herd is eliminated. But above all, it's the moment we truly feel our responsibility to maintain ecological balance, protect the community, and preserve the land for the next harvest. According to the experience of professional hunters, when the lead wild boar moves alone, it usually means the rest of the herd is hiding nearby. Missing them could turn the entire field into a wasteland. As predicted, the whole herd appears. The chase erupts violently. Taking them down quickly and accurately is the result of many years of training. The other side of the steep hill, amidst the dense trees, my team is executing the final encirclement strategy. Wild boars are extremely clever. They sense danger and can turn to flee immediately. At that distance, a single wrong step could endanger the entire group. Skill, calmness, and discipline allow you to complete the mission safely. One by one, the dangerous targets are neutralized. Here, hunting is not just about shooting skills. It's about making quick decisions, managing risks, and protecting the environment around us. When the crops are safe, the community can finally rest easy. But this battle never truly ends. Wild boars will return, and so will we, bearing the responsibility of protecting our homeland. My father spent the whole season growing sugarcane on a plot of land by the forest. Yet after only a few short nights, a herd of wild boars rushed in, ruining all our family's hard work and threatening our livelihood. We could not stand by and watch, so we filled ourselves with determination. At dawn the next morning, our team set out. Will this journey to reclaim justice for our land succeed? Let's find out together. The plan had been prepared the night before. We formed a wide arc, using hunting dogs to drive the boars toward a predetermined ambush point. Everyone was equipped with terrain grip boots, radios for constant communication, and rifles that had been carefully checked. Nearby, the pickup truck and our dogs were ready for action. Before sunrise, the forest awoke to the sharp barking of the dogs. Every step we took was cautious, every small sound was analyzed. This hunt was not merely about pulling a trigger, it was a blend of patience, instinct, and experience. Then the first reward appeared. A startled wild boar burst from its hiding place and sprinted across the open ground ahead. I raised my rifle, my heartbeat racing. Bang! The boar spun for a moment and collapsed onto the dry grass. We continued moving toward the hilltop, the perfect vantage point over the whole area. When we arrived, the dog's urgent barking rose from below. They had cornered another boar. I lifted my rifle, but a teammate was quicker, ending the pursuit with a precise shot. In moments like that, we always understood, any successful shot, no matter who fired, was a victory for the whole team. Re-energized, we spread across the hills, tightening our tactical circle. Experience guided us, reading the wind, noticing faint signs on the ground, and waiting patiently. My instincts whispered that a boar was approaching. Seconds later, it dashed out. But fortune was not on its side. My bullet stopped its charge the moment it appeared. By noon, the sun beat harshly on the hills. I moved to a gentle slope with a clear view for detecting movement. Minutes later, the radio crackled. A herd was being pushed downhill. My goal was not to shoot as many as possible, but to break their formation. The leader was always the priority. I held my breath, aimed, and fired. The lead boar fell, and the rest scattered instantly. I reported their escape path, and from Kevin's position, gunfire echoed as more were stopped. When sunset arrived, fatigue crept in, but our focus remained. As we descended the hill to load our gear, the dogs suddenly barked fiercely nearby. Some stragglers were still hiding. A boar appeared in front of us. My shot rang out cleanly, striking the target, the sound rolling through the quiet forest like a stone across a still lake. Then another emerged. I fired the last round of the day, bringing it down into the dry leaves and closing a hunt filled with tension and resolve. Back at the Jeep Gladiator, the truck bed was filled with the team's rewards. A long day ended with a heavy yet satisfying feeling. At least today we did what had to be done, protecting the crops and the labor of an entire season. If this journey resonates with you or you want to follow more stories from the wild, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to join us on future adventures. See you in the next one. Look at the endless sugarcane fields in Florida, where day after day they are savagely damaged by wild hogs. Local farmers have called for help, and today we are here to answer that call. Our team has one mission: to stand as a shield, protecting the crops from the spreading destruction. Their hard work will not be in vain. While the team quietly moved into position, I took on the task of guarding the ridge along the dense forest edge of Florida, where wild hogs often reside and destroy countless fields. Every sense had to stay sharp, every second mattered. Suddenly, a faint rustle broke the silence. I immediately looked ahead, and within moments, the first massive hog was brought down. That is how our day began. Another hog removed, another field protected, and a bit more peace returned to the deserving farmers. But that first shot was only the beginning, a reminder that facing a large herd always carries many dangers. Realizing the situation was becoming complicated, we quickly changed strategy. A huge hog appeared from afar, its presence signaling trouble. I signaled James to hold the 90-degree angle while I drew its attention. "All right, James, take the shot." His rifle cracked decisively, neutralizing the creature instantly. A perfect result achieved through teamwork. If you support what we do, Don't forget to subscribe.
In audio.
At noon, under the scorching sun, hogs usually hide deep within the thickest brush. That is when our four-legged partners step in. While the dogs tracked the scent, we followed a narrow trail surrounded by dense and dangerous vegetation. Only a rifle in hand and the possibility of an ambush ahead. Would our reflexes be fast enough to stop a sudden attack? The answer, yes. When we arrived, the hog was already down, a victory shaped by instinct, courage, and years of training. That shot threw the entire area into chaos. We moved to another trail with better visibility. Soon after, the spotter shouted, "Movement in the brush, around 20 meters." I immediately squeezed the trigger, bringing down the target in an instant. That is the skill of trained hunters. If you enjoyed that shot, leave a comment. And remember, we always follow US hunting laws. That shot removed yet another threat. But the scattered traces on the ground showed the fight was not over. Footprints led deep into the forest. According to the plan, David's team circled behind to make noise and drive the hogs toward the ambush. Dog barks echoed from afar. A massive hog suddenly burst out. James fired first, but it wasn't enough to stop it. Now the creature was charging straight toward me. Once again, through smart tactics and calm coordination, we neutralized the threat and reclaimed peace for the farmers. My barrel hadn't cooled yet when more stubborn hogs rushed toward us. None could be allowed to slip past. All had to be stopped right here on this trail, leaving no chance for them to continue damaging the farmers' hard-earned crops. The scent of gunpowder lingered in the air, mixing with dust and sweat after a long day of battle. As the sun slowly set, the Jeep Gladiator behind us was filled and ready to head home. The fight to protect this land is not over, But today we fulfilled our duty. In the mountains of Asturias, Spain, locals are struggling against the threat of ferocious wild boar herds. Fertile fields can turn barren overnight, scarred by their storm-like destruction. These massive beasts are described as both swift and savage, enough to send chills down anyone's spine. Our hunting team quickly mobilized, spreading out into the dense forests, determined to track them down to the very lairs where they hide. No matter how cunning wild boars may be, they can't escape the traps of their own habits. Trails deep in the forest are stamped with countless hoofprints, clear signs that lead us straight to them. I moved carefully, avoiding any sound that might give me away. Then suddenly, from the thick brush ahead, a massive boar burst out, fast as an arrow. Without hesitation, I pulled the trigger. The gunshot echoed through the forest. The beast staggered, stumbled, and collapsed. One decisive moment was enough to seal the fate of this fierce creature. The sky suddenly darkened, and a chill crept through the treetops, making the forest feel heavier than ever. I moved into a tangle of fallen logs, pressing myself behind a massive trunk, silent and watchful. Then, without warning, a huge wild boar emerged into view. The instant it stepped forward, I squeezed the trigger. The shot rang out, and the beast collapsed on the spot. That kind of precision only comes from a hunter seasoned by years of experience. I moved quietly deeper into the forest, each step cautious, aware of the danger lurking around me. At the edge of the woods, a massive boar suddenly appeared, its fierce eyes locked straight on me. I quickly raised my rifle, kept my breathing steady, and pulled the trigger with a firm squeeze. The gunshot echoed, and the beast dropped instantly. Had I hesitated even for a moment, the outcome could have been disastrous. Yet in those perilous seconds, I knew my duty was clear: to stop the threat before it could wreak more havoc on the villagers' crops and land. That afternoon, I moved along the forest edge and settled into a shaded spot to watch. Through the thick foliage, the dark silhouette of a massive boar slowly came into view, wandering carelessly, unaware of the danger nearby. I steadied my hands, aimed carefully, and pulled the trigger. The first shot made it stumble before it could react. Quickly, I reloaded and fired again. The second shot brought it down clean. Late in the afternoon, I left the forest and moved to the roadside, taking my assigned position. Suddenly, a herd of wild boars burst out, their pounding hooves roaring like thunder. I stayed calm, aimed carefully, and squeezed the trigger. The shots rang out, the lead boar was hit and dropped instantly. The rest of the herd panicked and scattered back into the dense woods. As the last light of sunset faded, I spotted the final herd of boars hiding near the forest's edge. Without hesitation, I pulled the trigger, and the burst of gunfire sent the entire pack fleeing into the darkness. That marked the end of a long, grueling day where patience and determination were pushed to the limit. For the peace of this land, we're willing to stay awake through the night, give our all, and even face danger, just so the villagers can rest easy and their crops remain safe. The journey of facing the giant wild boars has come to an end, but the tension and danger still echo in our minds. What about you? What was the most unforgettable moment of this hunt? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to join us in the next adventure.
In the scorching heat of noon, news broke of a herd of wild boars suddenly sweeping across the fields, causing chaos and panic throughout the region. Without hesitation, the protective hunting team immediately set out, heading straight to their hiding place. Ahead lay lurking danger, and behind us were the livelihoods of countless families depending on our success. Would our determination be strong enough to stop these beasts? Follow us to the end to witness the intense unfolding of this confrontation. On the kayak, we quietly glided into the area we believed the wild boars were wallowing in mud. Our sharp eyes scanned every inch around us, missing no detail. And then it appeared. A brief sound of triumph rang out, backed by unwavering determination. This was a challenge, but above all, a responsibility to protect the life and peace of this land. With unwavering fighting spirit, the entire team immediately spread out, surrounding and blocking every possible escape route in the dense swamp. The boats accelerated, keeping close and tracking the wild herd rushing at incredible speed through their territory. The team's synchronization became the key factor, opening the opportunity for Jack to make the decisive move. This was not just a counterattack but a statement of ownership and responsibility for protecting the villagers. The tension was still at its peak, and John was about to make a bold decision. Upon receiving the signal, he quietly left the boat, stealthily advancing toward the target. Even from a great distance, John remained fully in control. His refined skills and relentless training had shaped him into a resilient marksman, steadfast in his mission to protect the crops and the lives of the people in this region. Thanks to his bold decision, John approached multiple targets hidden deep within the swamp's corners. Each precise shot forced the creatures to retreat, drawing out the lurking shadows. Without a hint of panic, John knew we were ready for anything. His calmness and seasoned combat instincts turned every danger into an opportunity, bringing the mission closer to victory. When we finally found them, a swift assault surrounded and neutralized the elusive creatures quickly, precisely, and decisively. Within minutes, the swamp grew silent. The only remaining signs were the remains of the fallen wild boars, clear evidence of the team's coordination and unyielding determination. Wild boars are known for their stubborn nature. They are formidable opponents, but today, our thorough preparation made the mission smoother, bringing us closer to success. As the afternoon sun began to set, the hunt entered a tougher phase as the tracks started to fade. Yet our pursuit never stopped. After 15 minutes, the final shadow was found. The echoes of the chase and the cheers of triumph rang out. Our mission to safeguard this land could finally come to an end. Today's hunt was not just about winning a battle. It was about protecting a community. A profound reminder of human responsibility toward nature. Every decision was made with government approval, ensuring ecological balance and protection of wildlife populations. Every step, every action was a combination of skill, teamwork, and determination. Although we captured a significant number of wild boars, bringing peace back to the fields, this journey is far from over.
As dawn's light appeared over the field, the grunting of a herd of wild hogs shattered the morning silence. The ground was torn up, fresh claw marks showing the destruction of the night. Dark figures still shifted within the mist, restless, hungry, unarmed. Without hesitation, a thunderous blast echoed across the field. A tannerite shot shook the earth like an explosion. When the smoke cleared, a heavy body lay still while the rest of the herd fled in panic. We quickly regrouped, forming a pursuit line, not just to protect the crops, but to maintain peace on the land we call home. On the wide field, the GPS tracker lit up. Sharp blinking signals guided each step. Every move was calculated, every look focused. Soon, the target appeared, almost invisible through the grass. The first shot sounded. Direct hit. Fast. Decisive. The hog dropped instantly, as quickly as the shot arrived. Less than 100 meters away, more hogs appeared. Each shot was firm and precise, cutting off every escape route. A flawless display from marksmen shaped by countless training sessions. The field grew silent again. Every ambush position along the edges tightened like a drawn bow. Then a figure moved. The barrel followed each step of the hog. And the moment it burst through the grass into danger, the final shot was released. Reflex, speed, discipline. These are what separate true hunters from those who merely watch. We stood alone in the open, waiting. 10 long minutes passed before the last shape appeared. Instead of fleeing, the hog charged straight at me. In that instant, survival depended on one thing: staying calm enough to keep the aim steady. Skill and composure meant everything. Hesitation had no place. Before we lowered our rifles, the dogs caught the scent and drove the hog out of hiding. Instantly, fingers tightened on triggers and eyes locked on the target. The hog burst forth like a sudden gust, but even its speed couldn't escape a perfect shot. Once again, teamwork between people and dogs carved another unforgettable moment into the hunt. After hours of tense tracking, the afternoon sun emerged. We kept a steady pace, watching closely for movement. Suddenly, signals from the eastern field lit up. The hogs were near. Nick immediately moved in to clear the danger zone. When the herd appeared, a series of controlled, rhythmic shots echoed, each one certain. They ran across the field, but none slipped through the storm of bullets. Another dramatic chapter ended, restoring peace to the forest. The noise remained loud near Nick. I focused completely on my target. Every shot left no chance for escape, sending a clear message to anything threatening this land. Which moment made your heart race the most? Share your thoughts below. Your feedback means a lot to us. We never hunt recklessly. Every action is taken responsibly. Protecting crops, keeping local families safe, and fully following U.S. wildlife conservation laws. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future videos.
In recent days, the whole village has been worried about a wild boar herd. They have been charging down the hillside in waves, tearing up the fields and causing chaos in the land. The rough, growling sounds of their roars echo through the night, causing the villagers' hearts to tighten with fear. When the gathering order was given, we immediately set out, heading toward the green hill where the wild beasts were hiding. Despite the worry, a strong thought flashed through each of our minds: we must protect our homeland at all costs. As the first rays of dawn grew clearer, we advanced, following the deep tracks of their claws in the ground. Reaching halfway up the hill, the air became unnervingly silent. It was so quiet that every sound from below came to our ears clearly. Every sense was tense with anticipation. We stood still for 10 seconds. Then, a long-range shot was perfectly executed as the target appeared, our eyes gliding over it. The shadows to the right were swiftly eliminated. The opening strike had set the tone, a resolute declaration of our determination to protect the entire village's crops. After our success, our steps grew lighter. Driven by a new wave of determination, we split into teams and began sweeping through every crack in the ground, every narrow path. Soon, we stopped for 10 seconds. A lightning-fast response followed, and a shot rang out. The massive figure collapsed instantly. Another lurking threat had been stopped in its tracks. Before we could advance to inspect, a signal from our team echoed. The wild boars were hiding far off on the hillside. We followed their trail and quickly moved to block the narrow path. A perfect decision. The sounds determined the fate of the battle, but the others were not ready to give up. From a distance, another team quickly surrounded them, cutting off all escape routes. We moved in. The perfect synchronization, like a campaign rehearsed hundreds of times. We successfully stopped the surprise attack. As the sun rose higher, our steps quickened as we moved closer to flush out the lurking boars. Wild boars, being natural predators, often hide in thick bushes. At times like this, both eyes and ears must always be on alert, ready to face any threat. This intense focus allowed our strikes to be effective, preventing any sudden attacks from the wild boars. Once again, this confirmed the skills and courage of the hunters in their mission to protect the peace of the village. The journey continued when suddenly, the hunting dogs picked up the scent of prey. They followed the trail and charged forward at a terrifying speed. The sounds of gunfire, barking, and footsteps blended into a chaotic, tense atmosphere. Thanks to the seamless cooperation between humans and dogs, the wild boars were cornered, with no way out. When the space fell silent, only calm remained, along with the feeling of relief on the faces of those protecting the crops. The battle wasn't over, but once again, the teamwork between man and hunting dogs proved unstoppable. The determination, sharp instincts, and ability to read every sign meant no target could escape the swift and precise control of the hunters. That night, the villagers could finally sleep peacefully. No one had to fear the roars in the middle of the night or wake up to fields torn apart at dawn. It was a difficult period, but it resulted in peace and security for the homeland. Today's battle wasn't just a confrontation between man and beast. It was a journey of bravery, a testament to the spirit of protecting hard work and life itself. Every drop of sweat, every shot fired carried a sacred meaning.